Welcome to another episode of War Hero to Superhero, helping military, veterans, and first responders transform their lives from the bedroom to the boardroom. It is December 3rd and Thursday. Welcome to the bedroom. And today's topic is about holiday struggle. We made it to December. A little older, a little wiser. I want to thank all 200 plus people that wished me happy birthday on social media. The people I haven't connected with yet, I'm going to shortly. But when you have 200 plus messages and you're trying to contextualize a little bit while going over and serving at the same time, it takes just a little bit of time. So thank you for joining. So we made it to December and it's Thursday. We know it's time to slope off and go into the weekend. I already have that energy already. And I'm like, I got a drill this weekend. All right. So the Christmas season is upon us, and we're thinking about this, and we're probably going to start about this next week, because usually the first week we're recovering from Thanksgiving and everything else, but we're going to start thinking about lights and parties and shopping, food, family, and friends. Doesn't matter what the restrictions is, we will see the majority of us do this in some capacity. Hopefully you do this safely, and you are not part of the mass numbers, and if you are, we hope and pray that you go over and get better. So we hope you'll be able to celebrate as much as possible these items and more with Christmas. But also the holiday struggles come in. You'll start seeing this about next week. Christmas parties, other things. We're even doing a virtual party on Podopolo. So if you want to take your podcasting to the next level with a dynamic, interactive podcasting app, and they do parties virtually, go over and join us on Podopolo. Get with me more details. But holiday struggles come, right? They come on a consistent basis. We have this every year, but somehow we still keep walking into this. So why not go over, not be overbooked, overspent, or overspend, and be overwhelmed? We talked about on Tuesday on different strategies, how to keep ourselves within our wallet and in our hearts. Today, we're going to be talking about how do we stay connected to our spouse with our words and thoughts. Because this little bad boy and this bad boy can either get us in deeply in trouble or deeply in the bedroom under hot sheets. And those are good things to be under the sheets, right? You know what I'm saying? So let's talk about 5 things to go over and to empower not just only you, but me on to go over and do this. So this is always a learning opportunity. So this is a dialogue, never a monologue. We got comments from 5 different locations. So if you have a question, want to go be interactive, you can bring it in and we can contextualize the conversation. But let's go jump in. So let's see how we're going to go over and stay connected to our spouse with our words and our thoughts. Number 1, body language and tone, then words. Whew. The funny part is most of the time we forget about that on a consistent basis. Our words mean nothing if our body language and tone doesn't go over and deliver. If I went like, hey, today, guys, we're going to talk about how to be connected in a marriage, you're going to be like, wow, that's boring, and I don't even want to listen anymore. The same thing goes over and happens when we connect. So if we want to go and say we love our spouse, our body language and our tone has to be congruent, the same as the words that we're saying. So if we're not matching, we usually get into arguments. We could go over and say we love our spouse, but if our body language and tone is not going over and displaying it, you're not lit up like a Christmas tree, you're not looking like wow type look and anything else, people are not going to stay connected. And even outside of sex, most relationships go over and get connected throughout the day. More ladies than men go over and think about that person the entire day. And it's the holistic package before this bed ever gets touched. And if we're not going over and evaluating the person's body language and tone either, we could really fail when we ask our words and they might not be ready for it. So what does that mean in summary? We need to go over and think things through on how we show it before we convey it. So what does that mean? If I want to show that I'm a concerning spouse, I need to show a softer approach. I need to go over and be there and be ready for physical touch. This is with my spouse, and I need to have that soft type approach. Now, if I'm wanting to deliver something really harsh, which I don't recommend, then I'm going to put more of a boaster type approach in that regard. So if we want to stay connected with our spouses, we need to go over and think how we present. Do you constantly have RBF, which is resting B face? Do you go over and sulk your eyes? Do you go over and always pout? Do you always have this confidence about yourself that's never, or the other way around, that your words are saying like, I hate you, and you're smiling, which then that contradicts too. So we need to start being cognizant. If we want to stay connected with our spouse, our body language and our tone is going to communicate more than our words. Body language is 55%, tone is 38, words are 7. So if you're wanting to get a good message out there and you want to stay connected with your spouse, work on what your body language is. Maybe you need to go and practice in the mirror. Maybe you need to go have your spouse that pillow talk and say, what do I usually communicate with you when I talk to you? Do I communicate a good tone or a bad tone? Is my body language out of whack? Do I go over and look sad and depressed? Am I ever over too anxious, excited, whatever it is? And then we can go figure out how to do that. And a lot of times we have to start with that, with a conscious effort to go over and change and say, like, even for posture makes a drastic difference. You know, if you're standing up straight, you have more confidence. If you're leaned more in, you're more engaged in the conversation. If you're going over and rubbing somebody's hand as you're connecting to them, it's more of an intimate type talk. If you lower your tone a little bit, you don't always have to be intense. I have to watch it myself. I'm intense. I'm like, bam, like all the time. So it's learning to go over and watch ourselves. So that's number 1. Number 2, we mentioned this several times throughout multiple episodes, and this applies just as much again in the holiday struggles as it does in any time in the bedroom. Learn the love languages and then apply them. Because there's no point if you're going over and learning these things, just testing my mic, learning these things and not going over and applying. We read so much, we get so much information overload, but if we're not going over and taking it from the phone to our head to actually thoughts and feelings and then actions and responses, we'll still stay in the holiday struggles. You know, especially during this season, your spouse is going to look more for that love language, and especially during intimate times and everything else. I was discussing this just with my kids on the difference of birthdays and whatnot. Teaching them, it's like, how do you go over and love your dad compared to loving your mom? My wife is physical touch and words of affirmation. So there really doesn't have to be that much stuff being done for a birthday other than giving hugs and giving continual love. For me, it's acts of service and quality time. Now, I went up and told him, I said, I love you anyway, but just so you know, that love wasn't shown. So the same thing with our spouses. We got to practice in the bedroom first. Because if our kids are not seeing that, and if I'm not practicing it, then they're not going to go learn it. I'd rather have the next generation learn it to do it with them and them to totally forget about me as I'm applying this in the bedroom. And it's the same thing I want for you. I'd rather have your next generation not apply the love languages to you, but apply to their spouses and their kids than anything else. And the best way for application is values are caught, not taught. Them seeing you applying these things. Are they physical touch? Are they words of affirmation? Are they quality time? Are they acts of service? Are they gifts? And are you displaying and learning those languages and then applying them, even though it might not be your language? Because a lot of times we marry somebody that's opposites attract. Oh, you're so cute. You're so hot. Everything else. And then you get married and then you're like, and the things that were attracting you the most is what usually nags you the most. So, but the thing is that we need to learn to appreciate the most. So learning these love languages is key, and then going over and applying. The holiday struggle will diffuse if you apply those things. Even as simple as something as going over and putting a hand on someone's head, which, my bad, I'm going to have to go apply when I leave because I just remembered that right now. Woo! Learning right on the fly. Number 3. Personality is key, learn and apply. And I left a gap in there. So it says learning. Lives, don't you love it? So another one to go over and to learn in this season, because we have a lot of time in this holiday struggle, because you might not be going to so many places and things go over and slow down, and expect about 2 weeks, everything to go and basically shut down to about January 15th. That's just the normal battle rhythm of America. It doesn't matter what we're going through. That we have a time to go take those beautiful behaviors, observable things that you and I go over and do, and when you and I go over and value every single day, and go over and learn them. It doesn't matter if you go read about the colors, the flags, the DISC personality model behavior bank code, which we are certified in DISC, and we are familiar with bank code. Doesn't matter which one you go over and gravitate towards to. go over and learn your spouse's personality style. You might find out that they're more reserved than you, or they're more outgoing, or they're more people-oriented, or they are more task-oriented. The words don't mean nothing if we're not going over and applying. So what does that mean? My spouse is very reserved. That means after a day of my birthday yesterday and going out, care of the kids. And my kids are high energy coming in. So same thing. How do I go and apply? Now, sometimes you're going to be Debbie Downer for what the decisions that you go over and make with kids or your spouse, whatever it is. But if we can adjust just a little bit, it goes over and makes the holiday struggle a lot less. And once you know how to apply it in the bedroom, it's so much easier out there. Because the person you're most intimate with, which could be the most person with the most strife with, if you start having a better relationship with, the relationship can come out of the bedroom, and you can take those principles and apply them to the living room. And then you have a lot less elements to go over and to worry about and contend to. And that's why we teach from the bedroom to the boardroom. So personality is key. If you'd like a deeper lesson, go over and type in the DISC model here there, or Bankify in our pages, or on Pedopolo. You'll find a lot of great lessons in there. We teach a lot about bank code. We teach a lot about the DISC model human behavior. Whatever personality you learn, it's key. Just go over and grab it. All right. Number 4. This one's going to sound completely weird and crazy. And you're like, oh! At least I would be if I was listening to this right now from somebody. Plan your lovemaking as a top priority. Again, we get caught up with lights and party and shopping and food and family and friends and everything else. But who's going to be there at the end of the day when Christmas is over? Your spouse. And that's what we hope that you have. Little side thing, divorce is not as high as you think. It's not even close to 50%. Never has gotten there. It's only been a quote-unquote statistic that stole from a statistic that stole from a statistic. And secondarily, divorce doesn't happen the most during this season. Actually, even suicide doesn't happen as much as this season. Now, COVID, different thing. But long story short, it's usually in spring. That's when finances come in. That's when things have been pushed too far and everything else. This is the time prime to, in a sense, load the cannon, but you should always continually outpour your love. The cup should be overflowing, not just pour in it when it's empty. But make your lovemaking as a top priority, because you can always go over and visit friends all throughout the year. You can always visit with family all throughout the year. You can go over and you can't see lights all throughout the year, but you can always go partying all throughout the year. You can always eat food all throughout the year. You can always shop throughout the year, but you don't know if your spouse is going to be there all throughout the year if you continue to go over and not put that as a priority. So why not, instead of waiting until a New Year's resolution until January, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to change these amazing things, and then by February 15th, forget about it. Let's start a new life resolution by making lovemaking as a top priority. And it doesn't just have to be about sex. It can be more than that. Cuddling, caressing, deep conversations, sensual touching, massage, all those types of things. There is so many things. And you can go on Pedopolo, which is our dynamic podcasting app. And there's several people that talk about how to go make lovemaking, because they teach about it way better than I do, as a top priority. So definitely, let's go over and win for that in 2021. Why not go over and be the most joyous people coming out of the bedroom into the living room and into the boardroom and make 2021 pop, and not just pop because the bedroom's hot. Yeah. So last one, adjust your expectation and live it out. Number 4 was difficult. Number 5 is going to be gut-wrenching and value checking. One of the biggest things that goes over and destroys marriage, you think would be infidelity. Nope. You would think it'd be going over in finances. Nope. It's actually going over with communication, and communication is actually expectation. If you ever read the book Save Your Marriage Before It Starts, which is a fantastic book, Dr. Les and Les Parrott, and they've written several others, Real Relationships, they got the Good Fight, several other things. I'd highly recommend just keep reading their books. They have way more wisdom than me, and they have a lot more years of marriage than me. So if you ever decide not to follow us anymore, if you're following them, it means I brought you to the right people. But adjust your expectations and live it out. The biggest thing that goes over and destroys marriage is expectation management. We expect so many things out of our partner, but we don't put reality filters in the thing. Yet we do this with our kids, we do this with the schools, we do this with work. I remember yesterday, it was like, or 2 days ago, my wife said something to me, and it was about when I get to my chiropractic appointment. And I said something that I said, this didn't happen and everything else. And then I expected something to get done, and she expected me to go remember. And then she's like, you don't give me the benefit of the doubt. And I told her, I said, one of the hardest things for me is that everybody I trusted when I was a kid, and I trusted them wholeheartedly, and it failed over and over and over again. So for me, I expected certain things now to be done through proof, and then I got thrown the benefit of the doubt through someone else. So I had to learn that lesson quickly, is I needed to adjust my expectations. I should have not assumed or expected that my wife didn't do what I asked to be done. I should have asked the questions, give her time to process, and then it would have been a better time, because it caused an argument. But I had to learn that question, I had to learn that concept rather quickly. I've come to find out from my life, things I have to learn is within seconds compared to everybody else in minutes and decades, because I have a big calling to go over and to help you guys transform from the bedroom to the boardroom. So I can't just sit idly by in junk. So for this particular one, I needed to adjust my expectation and say, what things should be done. Sometimes you'll have to go over and give more time and more latitude to your spouse. Sometimes you might need to give less latitude because you're not trusting. So the expectation management needs to be adjusted to what they go and agree to. And if they allow you to freely keep you accountable in that regard, instead of you saying, I expected food on the table, I expected this done, I expected that done, every single done. I have 4 kids, a wife, a father-in-law, and 2 pets. And actually Nibbles gets more views than me. So that'd be cool if I got more views than her, the bunny. But I need to go over, and each of those people adjust expectations. But the most important person I'm supposed to adjust expectations to show love and to bring down those holiday struggles down is my spouse. So let's go over and take a page out of my book, whoosh, and go over and don't run into the things that I go over and do. And take one of these and apply it into your life. So, did you learn something today? Hopefully you did, whoever's going over and watching. And we want to thank you all for watching, because it's very much appreciated that you go over and do, because we want to grow this to a massive audience to make the influence and go over and change. But your superhero challenge for today is until next week. So you actually got 4 days to go over and apply this. And you can always apply this at Podopolo, our dynamic interactive podcasting app. And if you want to go earn up to $1,500 for the new year, please go over and look at my post and go over and go join us on Podopolo. Send a screenshot of your profile page when you're done. So our superhero challenge for today is to share a story when you got it right. I want you to dime yourself out and go say, I got it wrong, and this is the one I didn't go and apply. I want you to share a story you got it right, because I want you to break through the holiday struggles, but when you go see an example of you doing something positive, you're more apt to go do it again, compared to, oh, I do this and I suck. We all go do that, and I don't want you to go live that anymore. So share a story when you got it right with your spouse, that you went over and we're in the holiday struggle season this year, last year, 10 years ago, maybe it was in the 1980s, whatever it was, even if it was 40 years ago. Share a story when you got it right, when you held your tongue and didn't do something, or you learned a way to show love, or you went to this class and learned to apply, and the Christmas season was better for you. And we'd love to go see where we can learn from your positive lesson so we can learn and live. So I want to thank you all for joining. Hope you guys have a great first week. Go over and check out those lights, go to those parties, go do all those great things, but just remember, balance it out, because we don't want you to go through the holiday struggle. And with that, we want to thank you for going over and joining us each and every day that we're on, Tuesdays through Thursday, except for yesterday. And we want to go over and thank our sponsor, the Army Dog and the Veterans Project. So we will check out, and you can go check out what the Army Dog and the Veterans Project is going to be doing, and we are partnering with. Thank you.
Millions of men and women have served this great country. However, over 40,000 veterans sleep on the streets every night. 20 veterans commit suicide on any given day. Veterans have been left without medical services while they suffer from mental illness and addiction. They are dying alone. Join Armory Dog and the Veterans Project to help serve this forgotten community of heroes. Veterans is a place for our men and women who have served our great country, giving them a place to stay and rehabilitate in a safe and positive environment. Please help support the Veterans Project so that these men and women can get back on their feet and find their purpose for living. The Veterans Project will house 10,000 veterans, getting them off the streets, back into society, and utilizing their skills as they once used to serve our great country. Veterans Not Forgotten.